tomorrow our country, it will celebrate our 75th Independence Day. It is as a completion of 74 glorious years of Indian independence. 74 years of Indian independence. That independence, which was declared by the last Governor General, Lord Mountbatten, the British Governor General. It was called in India in May 1947 to sign as a partition of the country. To sign partition of country, that official Governor General signed as the document with the Congress leaders, which were headed by at that time Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, which became as the first independent Prime Minister of India. On occasion of our independence, midnight of 14th August 1947, it was given their speech, historical speech on a Red Fort. On a Constituent Assembly, it was given their speech. That speech is known in Indian history as a Tryst with Destiny. Tryst with Destiny. So Indian independence, it was not as an effort of a one individual, it was the collective effort of a number of freedom strugglers which contributing in Indian independence, which includes as the members of Indian National Congress, for example, as a radicals. At that time, the Congress having as a two of the parts, one as a moderates and second as a radicals. Radicals were those which worked for the independence of our country from the British control. But the moderates were those which were favoring as the administration with control of Britishers. But there was one more section which also contributed for independence of India. It was as a revolutionaries, Krantikari. A number of revolutionaries sacrificed themselves for independence of India. For example, any names? Any of a revolutionary? Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, Kartar Singh Saraba, Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, Batukeshwar Dutt, so many number of revolutionaries, Madan Mohan Malviya, number of revolutionaries which contributed in Indian independence by sacrifice themselves for a nation. After the independence, when Britishers left the country on 14th August 1947, at that time the partition was occurred. That partition was a demand raised by the Muslim League. So on the base, that partition was occur on the basis of religion. Muslim areas separated from the non-Muslim areas. That's why at the time of the partition, country divided into three parts: Eastern Pakistan, which now presently is known as, very good, Bangladesh, Western Pakistan, existing Pakistan, and the mainland of India. When Britishers, they declared as the partition of country, at that time the total India divided among the 562 states, princely states, such states which directly controlled by the governor generals, such viceroy which appointed by the Britishers after the revolt of 1857. Remember, in chapter revolt of 1857, it was one of the consequence viceroy appointed at the place of the British governors, which earlier appointed through the English East India Company. Now the viceroy responsible for this. Viceroy responsible for the administration in India. So Britishers, they left complete of a country, all the three parts of India, Eastern Pakistan, Western Pakistan, and India as a free. They didn't mark as any territorial boundaries. उन्होंने borders mark नहीं किए थे, India का map नहीं बना था, Pakistan का भी map नहीं था. Only as that they declared all the 562 states independent. It's the will of such states, they merge under the Indian dominance or a Pakistan dominance. कि दो governments थी, किसको favor करती हैं. So under such circumstances, the State Reorganization Commission was set up, which was headed by the Iron Man of India, who's known as Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Because of their endless efforts, the present map of India came into existence. He made the secret treaties with the Indian rulers, the maximum number of princely states, the rulers of princely states, and merged under the Indian dominance, through which as a present map of India came into existence. Present map of India, it came into existence. So finally, on a midnight of 14th August, means as a beginning of 15th August 1947, the existing prime minister, the first prime minister of independent India, it announced, it declared as Indian independence on 15th August on a Constituent Assembly. And as you read, Constituent Assembly, this was an organization committee framed by the Britishers for enactment, for formulation of an Indian Constitution. That Constituent Assembly framed in 1946, which collectively worked for the framing of Indian Constitution, that Constitution which favor for the all the sections of society, all the different sections of society. That Constituent Assembly, it was headed by the very good Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar and presided by the Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad presided the Constituent Assembly. So finally, on a 15th August morning, रेड फोर्ट, लाल किले की प्राचीर के ऊपर तत्कालिक प्रधानमंत्री ने भाषण देते हुए भारतीय स्वतंत्रता का उद्घोष कर दिया. क्लियर? सो हैप्पी इंडिपेंडेंस डे एवरीबॉडी. Resource, wildlife resource. So factors which are affecting as the water scarcity in India, the physical factors are uneven distribution of rainfall. Second as climatic changes. Third, water bodies. Now the man-made factors which are responsible for the shortage of water in India. Man-made factors responsible for water scarcity in India. Human factors responsible for the water scarcity in India, through which as a quality of water deprived in India, quality of water. So the first, discharge of domestic and industrial waste in river channels, discharge of domestic and industrial waste in river channels. It pollutes it deprives the quality of water, which is one of the reasons responsible for shortage of water. Through this process, the Yamuna polluted by the Delhi, Ganga polluted by the number of cities located on its bank. Second, excessive use of fertilizers. Excessive use of fertilizers Such fertilizers, these are percolates beneath the layers of earth crust, which pollutes underground water level. Fertilizers, when they are mixed with the rainwater, these are percolates beneath the layers of earth crust and pollutes underground water. It pollutes underground water. Third, rivers which are used for navigational purposes. Rivers used for navigation purposes. Oil seepage from boats responsible for the river pollution. Oil seepage from boats led for river water pollution, which is responsible for the river water pollution, etc. How can we conserve the water resource? First, proper treatment of water before discharge in river channels. Means that wastewater which has treated in industries for washing, for cooling purposes, it should be properly treated. Their impurities should be separate from the water. Then that wastewater, it should discharge in rivers. And domestic wastewater, it can be used for the Domestic wastewater, it can use for irrigation purposes. Domestic wastewater, it can use for irrigation purposes. First. Second, minimize the use of fertilizers, insecticides, and pesticides in agriculture. Minimize the use of fertilizers, insecticides in agriculture. Minimize the use of fertilizers, insecticides in agriculture. In agriculture. Third, emphasis on rainwater harvesting. Emphasis on rainwater harvesting, in which rainwater has collected for the off seasons. As per the climatic conditions of India, during a rainy season, when rain has occurred, that rain is a source of water for agriculture and domestic needs. So that water, surface water, rainwater, which has discharged, which has wasted, it can be as utilized for domestic purposes through rainwater harvesting techniques. So different rainwater harvesting techniques are practiced in India. Rooftop rainwater harvesting techniques in Tamil Nadu. Underground chambers are built in Rajasthan. Bamboo drip irrigation used in northeastern states. Bamboo drip irrigation in northeastern states, which are obtained through the collection of rainwater. Collection of rainwater along slopes of mountains. Fourth, modern techniques of irrigation should implement in agriculture. Modern techniques of irrigation, it should be implement in agriculture, means sprinklers or drip irrigation. Sprinklers or drip irrigation. Drip irrigation. Next, crop rotation. Next is the crop rotation. The main reason behind the decreasing underground water level in Punjab and Haryana is the excessive production of wheat and rice. So at the place of wheat and rice, we can rotate other number of crops. We can produce other number of crops which needs less water consumption, less water requirement. For example, mustard, we can emphasize over the vegetables, oil seeds. We can produce, farmers can produce oil seeds, vegetables, oil seeds, vegetables and oil seeds which require less consumption of water, which are require less consumption of water, which are require less consumption of water. Yes, Jayant, that water which is not capable to utilize for the human needs, for agriculture, for agriculture. So that kind of water comes under the lower quality. So due to the mixing of oil in a water which deprived their quality. So that kind of water, it can't be utilized for any purposes. Same as fertilizers, when these are mixed with the surface water in river channels, in a lakes, or either it reaches inside the surface of the earth crust, it decreases the quality of water. It deprived the quality of water. So next, reduce wastage of water. Reduce wastage of water. Reduce wastage of water in domestic. In household areas, a large quantities of water is wasted through the washing of vehicles. Large quantities of water wasted in a domestic life. Domestic life. Okay, next. We can construct as a check dams along the slopes of mountains. We can construct check dams along slopes of mountains to collect rainwater. To collect rainwater. To collect rainwater. To collect rainwater. Next. Industries can utilize wastewater. Industries, it can be utilized the wastewater for cooling purposes. For example, as iron and steel industries, which are require iron and steel industries and nuclear power stations, they require a larger quantities of water for cooling purposes. So that water which has discharged from the industry, it can be as a reuse in nuclear power stations and iron and steel industries. Iron and steel industries. Iron and steel industries. How many? कितने हो गए? 7. So sufficient are there. 7. Next, fourth resource is a natural vegetation. When plants, grass, shrubs are grow without human interference is known as natural vegetation. When plants, grasses, or shrubs which are grow without human interference is known as natural vegetation, or it is known as natural vegetation, or virgin vegetation, VIRGIN, virgin vegetation, VIRGIN. When plants are grow without interference of humans, without human interference is known as natural vegetation or virgin vegetation. Virgin vegetation. So natural vegetation and wildlife, they are collectively mixed as the biosphere. Natural vegetation, vegetation is the part of flora, FLORA, flora. Vegetation is the part of flora, and animals, fauna. Wildlife animals are fauna, FAUNA. Fauna, flora and fauna. So where these two are exist and make relations with their physical environment is known as biosphere. Biosphere is the self-sustaining organization of self-sustaining SUSTAINING, self-sustaining organization of plants, animals, self-sustaining organization of plants and animals with their physical environment. Physical environment means land, water, air. With their physical environment. Self-sustaining organization of plants and animals with their physical environment, is known as biosphere. A large size biosphere is known as biome. A large size biosphere is known as biome, BIOME. A large size pay attention. The definition which has just given, it is as the related with ecosystem. Self-sustaining organization of plants, animals with their physical environment is known as ecosystem. It is known as ecosystem. Just cut it as the word. At the place of biosphere, you can add as the ecosystem. And large size of ecosystems are known as biome. Large size of ecosystems are known as biome, BIOME. Example. So biomes are basically known for their special characteristics. For example, tundra ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, equatorial ecosystem. Equatorial known for the high rainfall, where the rainfall is more than the 200 centimeters recorded. In such parts of the world, the evergreen forests are generally occur. Evergreen forest. which are green throughout the year, do not shed their leaves in a particular months of the year. That is as their specialty. As I told you, biomes are generally known for their specialty. Equatorial biome, second as the aquatic biome, where the aquatic life, the animals, plants related with flora and fauna associated with the water bodies. These are exist, and the biosphere is the narrow zone between the land, air, and water. Biosphere is the narrow zone between land, air, and water. Where all these three are exist is known as biosphere. We all are living in a biosphere. We all are living in a biosphere because we are residing on a land. We breathe in a atmosphere, air, and we are surviving on a water. Water is a basic necessity. So a narrow zone where land, water, and air are present is known as ecosystem. It is known as ecosystem. Biome. 0 to 5 degree north and 5 degrees south. 0 to 5 degree north and 5 degrees south, such parts of the earth which are known for the high rainfall, excessive rainfall recorded throughout the year. More than 200 centimeters rainfall as an average recorded on equatorial areas. Equatorial areas. So such parts of the world where the more than 200 centimeters rain has occurred, more than 200 centimeters rain occur, tropical evergreen forests are generally found in such parts due to the hot and moist weather conditions. Existence of